are we? So I have a story for you this morning. I know you've heard it before. However, I think it's very pertinent to what we're talking about today, which is, who are we? Who are we? Who are you? So a spiritual seeker heard about a holy man who lived in a house atop a remote mountain. It was said that spending even a few moments in the sage's presence could change a person's life forever. Hungry for awakening, the seeker dropped everything and set out on a pilgrimage to find the enlightened being and share few meaningful moments with him. For months, he had traversed over mountains and rivers to find the guru. Finally, he arrived at the holy man's front door. A servant greeted the seeker, ushered him into the house, and guided him through several rooms. Since the fellow was anxious to meet with the guru, he barely heard a word of what the servant was saying. And after a few moments, the servant led him through another door, which opened to the backyard. The servant indicated that it was time for him to leave. But I'm hoping, he said, for a few moments with the holy man, cried the disappointed and very frustrated man. You did, answered the holy man as he closed the door. I like that story because the moral of this story is we are preoccupied at times of seeking, believing that there's something greater out there for us to understand, to know. Believing that we're lacking something and we've got to find it. See, we will never find that truth outside of us. Seeking outside is believing that something is missing in us. Believing someone has a greater truth than lives within you, lives within me. To discover who we each are, I know I've said this before, is an inside job. And it begins with understanding who you are, who I am. That is your starting point. Not in out there seeking or climbing mountains or going through rivers. First, we need to let go of our old beliefs about who and what God is. See, I believe our old ideas about God hold us hostage. And I have a system for you, if that's one of your things, and that's get a piece of paper like these yellow papers that I write on, and just write God is, first thought. You know, a lot of people, when I do this in a class, I say, God is, and they say, old man in the sky, God will get you, the fire in heaven, whatever. Write those down. Because you see, when we have a belief about something, but especially about God, we want to discover it. We want to go and say, what is my belief? God is, first thought, God is. And you go through the list. You keep writing, the old man in the sky, and angry, fearful, whatever. And then you go through and you cross out whatever you come up with God is. And you go to your thesaurus and you find the opposite of what you put in there. Because that's what God is. Greater than what you can ever even imagine. God is the infinite, divine, magnificent presence. And until we understand that, until we're willing to let go of our old ideas and our old beliefs, those ideas and beliefs, believe me, hold you hostage. God is first thought. God is the very nature of our being. And so, I'm in a class on Monday nights, have been for almost a year, almost a year. And it's the class on the Course in Love. And it's with 12 people from this community. We've been in it for a year. It is closed at this time. It will be open once we finish the book, and then we'll invite new people in. And so we talk for an hour and a half. We read together. We discuss it every Monday night for an hour and a half. And there's something really great that came up this Monday. And so I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to explain it in a moment. That I would like you to understand, because I thought it was so simple, especially when we're talking about who are we. Okay, here it is. Now this is the secret of life, you guys, so listen. Thank you, Alan. You know, Alan's always a great audience, even by himself. I love that. Okay. I need a new blue one. I'll make it red too. This is who we are, or who we think that we are. A dot. That's our body. And that's the majority of us believe we are the dot. We're just this body. And in this body, how do we find God? And truth, and I'll get to that in a moment. The circle is who we are. The dot is only our body. Look at all of this, yet that we have to discover within ourselves. So, take a breath. Right now, you're the dot. But I'm going to explain to you this morning how you are so much more. You are greater than you ever thought you were. Because I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, let's keep moving. Who are you? The dot. In the circle of your own divine magnificence. Okay. See, God lives in your heart. And God speaks through intuition, through visions, through dreams. That's the circle, all around you. God is an energy, a truth that is expressed through all living beings. God animates all of nature. You see, nature is the same way. Here's a deer or a rabbit or a fox. It's a dot in the circle of God. Everywhere we look, we see God, an expression of life and living. God is not contained in one religion or one philosophy. God lives in all religions and way beyond what we can even imagine. This morning, together, we opened the door to discover something greater within each and every one of us. Greater than the dot that up until now we've held as our reality. So I ask you this morning, are you ready? Are you open? Are you willing? Let's hear it.
Yes.
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 Oh, good. See, the room's saying yes, so you must be too. This course in love is a brilliant study, opening to a greater truth that lives within us. And so the high points that I want to share with you this morning is about the circle. And the circle, the dot, is time-bound. It's all that we think we are. It's who we think we are. It limits us, actually. And this circle represents more of who we are. This circle represents the comforter, intuition. It represents love and partnership. I talk about this all the time, that God partners with us in all of life, that there's a greater self. But when I read this last week in the course of love, I realized the power this has So all week long when I'm sitting with somebody, I'm recognizing, okay, I'm the dot, but around me is this circle of so much more. And when I sit with somebody, when I'm even standing here with you, I'm the dot, you're the dot, yet our circle touches and is part of each other. This is how we live, move, and be, and have our being. You see, not being aware of our wholeness with and in life, we miss our partnership with God. The partnership with God that life has to offer for us is so much more. So instead of seeking something outside of us, I'm going to invite you to seek what is in your circle of life. It is God and you and God. You see, because God is so much greater than just our physical body. And when we begin to understand this, then we can expand our thinking. And the call that this has for us, the call to love, is a call to unconditional, non-judgmental love. Non-judgmental love opens us to discover all of who we are. See, because when we're only in the body, when we think this is all that we are, I don't know about you, but I get a little confused. I might get in judgment, or I might get into that place that says I'm not doing good enough, or I'm not as good as someone else, because I forgot that I live and breathe in the fullness and the richness of God. See, love opens us to discover our greater sense of self. A greater expression awaits our attention. Our body is a small aspect of who we are. Until now, this is all we believed ourselves to be. Maybe this is new for you today. I don't know. So let us each imagine more. More of who we are exists beyond the body. Our circle is our comforter. Our circle is our divine nature. Our circle is where we expand our awareness into knowing our greater self. You see, this can't be all that we are. There is a greater self yet for you and for me to discover. Are you willing to do that? Because it's your willingness that is the magicalness of our being. When we live only from the dot, we forget who we are. In the circle, we are reminded of so much more. God and I are one. When we forget our circle, our mind is given free rein to be confused. So the next time you feel confused or you feel fearful, fear erupts and doubts return to us when we are in the dot. Because you see, that's where we think it's hopeless. That's where we get scared. That's where we doubt and where we have our fears. And even when we're in a difficult situation as we are now, the circle. Because the circle is what gives us that sense of, whoa, there is hope. There is something greater. There is something for me to know beyond the dot. Because when we become afraid and when we are filled with doubts, it only takes place in our own minds. Doesn't take place in the circle. God, life, others don't do that to you. We do it to ourselves. We allow the dot to be our focus. We allow or think the dot is all that we are. And it keeps us small. Have you been keeping yourself small lately? By maybe watching the news? That'll really make you tiny. Hope and victory. Respect. Wait for each one of us in the circle. Oh, the magnificence and the majesty that waits for you in this circle to yet discover. Knowing with God all things are possible. The circle is where we can and do open to possibilities. Where we know we are never alone. In the circle, we know that the vaccine will be found. We know in the circle that we are safe and healthy. In the circle, we know that there is a greater truth taking place in this world than what we can see. And in the circle, we know we are never alone. Transformation awaits each one of us in this circle of life, yet to be discovered. This is the adventure of life. And this is, in my opinion, the time to do it, because our true self, our true nature, is the circle. This is the truth of who we are. Ernest Holmes says, to all is given divine possibilities, but only to those who know their unity with God. This is our unity with God. Yeah, God's in this. God's in our body. But we get a little confused when we're just stuck in there. We want to expand our awareness. The circle opens the door for our unity. The circle opens the door and helps us to understand what it means to raise and to praise, what that really means. The circle helps us know the Christ of our being. That's why Jesus did what he did. Remember, he was just a man. Until he understood the circle, which is the Christ consciousness. Jesus said, all who come unto my presence shall be healed. All who come unto my presence, which is the presence of God, shall be healed. When we expand our awareness into the circle, what's possible? What will you discover? Today, I'm going to invite each and every one of us to rewrite what and who we believe ourselves to be. We are each fascinating, unique circles of truth. All that we seek lives in our circle of life. Today, I'm going to invite you to be the seeker of your divine nature. Here it is. Draw your own circle. Let us each step out of the dot and discover for ourselves what's possible. Infinite possibilities are waiting for you and waiting for me to discover. Let's do it together. Let's take that into prayer. So take a deep breath. Knowing and accepting that there's only one power, one all-loving, all-nurturing essence. It is everywhere. It is in the seen. It is in the unseen. There's an infinite, powerful, all-loving presence. I call this God, the infinite, the divine, the beloved, by whatever name. There is only one. And it is the very life and breath that lives and breathes within my very being. And it is greater than whatever I imagined it to be in me, through me, and around me. It is the love, it is the glory, it is the grace of God that is desiring to partner with me in every aspect of life. I am never alone. I walk in the light and the glory and the love of God, and it is here with me, for me, and all around me. And I allow that circle of truth to expand, for I am an explorer of my own nature. And in this exploration, I opened the door to a greater sense of unity and wholeness with the divine, with the beloved, with the infinite. And from this place of truth and knowing this, I, Maggie, know that I speak the word of God, and it is my pleasure and delight to speak and know this truth for you, right where you are. That there's a greater sense of unity and harmony, God expressing and desiring to express in you, through you, and as you. And so I invite you to open and to fall deeper in love with your divine, magnificent self, and to expand that love out into your circle of truth, into your circle of discovery, into your circle of knowing. And I know right where you are, God is. And that there's a powerful healing taking place in your life and the life of your loved ones. And I bless you in this love. I bless you in this awakening with joy and gratitude and celebration. For this is who we each are, the beloved place where God shows up. And so I expand this prayerfulness, I expand this conscious awareness out into the world. And I bless all of the medical professionals and all that are making a difference in this world today. I bless the creation of the vaccine. And I bless all people everywhere. Knowing and accepting that there is a greater truth beyond conditions, beyond situations. When we open ourselves to the circle of light, to the circle of love, to the circle of God, uniquely expressing in us, as us, and for us. And I give thanks for this knowingness of truth. And greater than what I've spoken here, I know is already taking place in the mind of God. And so I just release my word into the ever-living, loving law of God that always says yes, returning to and through each and every one of us, multiplied, magnified, spilling over. We are full to overflowing with the grace and the glory and the powerful love of God. And in this time together, we just let God do God's work. And if you're in agreement, please join me as we say, and so it is. Amen.